Pretty cool bike, don't you think? Well, it's taken us 120 years to get here. And it's not just about the creation of a means of transport. It's about the creation of a federation, the FIM as we know it today, which has enabled great technological, human, and safety advances in motorcycling over the decades. So before we cross the finish line, let me take you on a fantastic journey, the history of the FIM. Let's go. Paris, 1904. That's where it all began. We met at the Le Doyen restaurant and signed the documents that led to the creation of the FIM. We became the founding members of this first international federation of motorcycling. France, England, Germany, Austria, Belgium, and Denmark. Well, back then it was called the FICM. To us, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
But that's not all. The FIM as we know it today really began in London on November 28, 1912, with 10 member countries. The FICM was re-established to control and develop the tourist and sporting aspects of motorcycling. The following year, the first international event held under the aegis of the FICM took place, the International 6 Days of Trial, the ancestor of today's International 6 Days of Enduro. From 10 member countries, we grew to 30 national associations affiliated to the FICM on the eve of World War II. In 1936, at Wembley Stadium, the first Speedway World Final took place. It was the first official World Championship and the first world title for the Australian rider Lionel from Prague. We launched a movement. We started a family. We paved the way until 1939, when the war broke out. But at the end of the war, we set off again. In 1947, in the Netherlands, a cross-country event was organized with riders from Great Britain, Belgium, and the host country. It was the first motocross of nations. In 1949, one of the most prestigious competitions in motorcycling was launched, the Circuit Racing World Championship Grand Prix. Not forgetting that in that year, the FICM became the FIM, Fédération Internationale Motocycliste. Welcome to the swinging 60s! Woo! What an era! A wind of modernity and evolution blowing over motorsports. Here's what happened before the 21st century. Many events were created, initially in the forms of trophies and continental championships, then recognized as world competitions. First, there was motocross in 1957. Then came the creation of Ice Racing WC in 1966. Trial in 1975. The landscape expanded further in 1980 with the addition of the endurance category, followed by the Superbike World Championship in 1988, then the Enduro World Championship in 1990, and last but not least, the Rally World Championship in 2003. Today, there are 7 disciplines divided into more than 100 categories. But let's stay in the 20th century for a moment. We had 51 member countries in 1980. Even though the Continental Union was first created in 1975 with Latin America, the other ones came into being in the 90s. So many milestones. But enough about competitions. Let's look at the improvements made by the FIM in terms of safety, environmental protections, and motor performance. We are constantly improving safety on the road through research and development for the benefit of everyone, pros, amateurs, everyday motorcyclists, and commuters. In terms of competition, we have a very strict anti-doping policy, only a few cases in 20 years. We were pioneers in sustainable sport, being the first international federation to implement an environmental code back in 1994. We are a laboratory for new technologies, including tires, fuels, electric power units, and more. We aim for a more sustainable approach within our family and with our partners in the leading motorbike industry. Our events always incorporate respect for the environment and social inclusion, driven by a shared passion for motorcycling. Our goals? Find safer and more sustainable solutions for fuel, tires, sound reduction, electric transportation, event organization, and more, on and off the track. The FIM also means promoting motorcycling sports for women and encouraging their integration and career development in sporting structures at all levels. The FIM is the only governing body for motorcycling sports recognized by the IOC and the Global Advocate for Motorcycling. The FIM is celebrating its 120th anniversary today. We are celebrating 120 national federations and 6 continental unions. 120 years of progress, achievements, and passion. The FIM organizes more than 80 series and over 1,500 events a year. Our family is growing. Let's move up a gear and bring more riders together all over the world. Together we've come a long way. Together we'll go even further. On behalf of our beloved FIM family, I wish you all long, fun, and safe rides.
Can you imagine that we reached 120 years? And thanks to you, we have done a great FIM. We are preparing a lot of things to celebrate this 120 years, but our values will keep the same. We are passionate for this sport, we are committed, and we have a very clean and fair sport. Obviously that we have other activities that will keep growing, like tourism, like the mobility, the road safety, but in fact what gives us emotions is sport. FIM will be one of the top international federations. Thanks to the national federations, to all of you, the non-paid professionals, but also the promoters. We have the best sport in the world.